Hello, it's Simon at Film Stories, and let's strap ourselves in. I want to talk about trigger warnings on the front of movies. Let's start this by going back to the summer of 2021, when here in the UK, the British Board of Film Classification released its annual report. And its annual report, I always think, makes fascinating reading, not least what have people been complaining about. The most complained about film in the UK in 2020 was Flash Gordon. There were 27 complaints to the BBFC about a warning that was put at the front of the film. This warning was about discriminatory stereotypes in the movie. Not a frame of footage of the film was touched. At the start of the film, you were just told, this film's got this in it. You've got the information. You're the human being. Press play if you want. Doesn't matter if you don't want. 27 people wrote in to complain about that. Those 27 people wrote in 6 months after the re-release of the film. It wasn't the re-release of the film that got them angry enough to write to the BBFC. I'm trying not to laugh. There was an online article about it. Flash Gordon's gone woke. You know, all that kind of stuff. Again, not a frame of footage of the film had been changed. It just had a note at the start. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was re-released in the UK around the same time. That also had a note, but because that didn't get an online article, there weren't 27 complaints to the BBFC. I might suggest that the people concerned were more interested in being keyboard warriors, reacting to an online article, than people who'd gone to the cinema or bought the new Blu-ray or 4K disc of Flash Gordon, watched it and thought, you know what, that's out of order. I could respect that. You know, I don't agree with it, but I can respect that. So it's February 2025, and there is an article that's up today about Disney is now removing trigger warnings from its film. Just a very broad definition of a trigger warning is there's something in this that might upset you or disturb you. I might suggest that the British Board of Film Classification, the Motion Picture Association of America, when they give ratings to films, do pretty much the same job. Here's the certificate or the rating. Here's why we've given it. In the case of the BBFC in the UK, you can look up the extended reasons. You've got the information, you make the choice. We're in 2025 now, and trigger warnings are being swept up in inverted commas, whatever this war on woke is. And for some reason, this is now a problem, that there are people in power who think this is a problem, or there are big corporations who are trying to pacify people in power and seem to be like pushing back against all this nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Loading up like Peter Pan on Disney Plus. I'm looking at it now. There was a bit of text added. Wendy and her brothers embark on fantastic adventures with the hero of their bedtime stories. That's the information on the film. This program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural depictions. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Does it stop you pressing play? That's entirely up to you. Have they gone in and cut Peter Pan? No. The film is presented as it was, and it's not always the case. I'll come to that in a second. Those bits of guidance for parents, for individuals, aren't there anymore. Disney is taking them away, I would suggest, as part of its placating the current incumbent administration in America. Let's just put it that way. My question then, who are these trigger warnings harming? If you are the kind of person who is upset by this trigger warning at the front of a film, how is it in any way spoiling your enjoyment of the movie? Does it leave you in a bad... and it might be the case. It leaves you in a bad mood for 2 hours and you can't enjoy the film. But I've just never met anyone who's put that argument. What I don't want cinema to do is reverse censor stuff. I mean, there's a cut of Crocodile Dundee that's been released this year for his 40th birthday, and that's got bits cut out of it. And I don't like the bits that they've cut out of it. I accept it was a product of its time. I've got no urge to go back and say, take that out. Instead, why not just put a note at the start? So for those who are triggered and upset about stuff like that, they've got the choice. I would strongly suggest for the overwhelming majority of film goers, cinema goers, you've not got upset about what's on a BBFC certificate at the start of a film. Seeing just a warning, just putting it in your head, has never enraged someone in a cinema, has it? Has never upset them. Countering that, you start cutting scenes out, that's a whole different game. A whole different game. The reverse censorship, I have a massive problem with. But this kowtowing, really, I mean, there's no other way to put it, to a government administration that Disney is presumably looking to be on friendly terms with, is just bizarre. In the worst case scenario as well, a trigger warning can include, for example, there is a depiction of a serious assault. And I'm really lucky. I've not been on the receiving end of a serious assault. If I had, I think I'd want to know that going in. I just want to be advised. Wouldn't want the context. I wouldn't want anything. Again, I can't speak to someone who's been in those shoes. But still, I've seen those trigger warnings. I've looked at them and I've just thought, yeah, okay. I've been to see films that I wish I hadn't seen, I wouldn't have seen had I known a couple of things were coming up in them. And I think it's a fine line between putting spoilers on a screen and just advising people, look, there's stuff in here. But I mean, we've been walking that line perfectly well now for a period of time, I would suggest. It's only when, let's just say, one of the outlets who get their clicks of stirring people up over pretty much nothing do we get the problem. Disney as well is going to parents. A lot of the material on Disney Plus, although it's a good home of action film and fruity movies as well, but a lot of that material is going to youngsters. Why don't we just give parents information and let them make the choice? It's not as if we're giving people 200 words on a front screen. It's a line or two. I think this is a move to please the powerful rather than just giving us a service as an audience member. You could actually help people just by giving that information. And now I would suggest we're in an era of capitulation and kowtowing. It's frustrating. I do believe it's wrong. I understand why people are annoyed about it. And, if the films were being hacked to death, I completely get it. But they're not.